Hi guys, I'm Tom, and today we'll see who Annabelle is. One of the most terrifying and interesting entities we've seen in the world of horror cinema is the doll Annabelle, who serves as a secondary antagonist in the 2013 film The Conjuring. Additionally, she is the main antagonist in the prequel films of the Conjuring Universe. This is a powerful demonic entity that, despite existing independently, chooses to manifest through a porcelain doll to torment anyone who owns it. Annabelle is one of the artifacts recovered by paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren during one of their cases. The doll is considered by them to be their most dangerous and demonic possession. The story of this demonic entity is both fascinating and terrifying. It begins in 1943 with the successful toy maker Samuel Mullins, who crafted a porcelain doll as a gift for his young daughter Annabelle, also known as B. One day, after a church service, while they were on their way home, they got a flat tire. Because of this, Samuel and his wife decided to change it. While they were doing so, little B ran into the road and was struck by a passing car. Devastated by the tragic death of their daughter, the Mullins began praying and begging any force that could bring her back. Unknowingly, they contacted a dangerous demon. This demon pretended to be the spirit of their daughter B and asked for permission to transfer its essence into one of Samuel's porcelain dolls to use as a temporary body. The Mullins agreed. At first, they were happy, believing their daughter had returned. However, they slowly realized they had been deceived by a malevolent being seeking a human host to possess. Shortly after, the Annabelle doll attacked Esther Mullins and tore out one of her eyes. Because of this, the Mullins locked Annabelle inside B's room, covering the walls with Bible pages. The Mullins sought help from the church to bless the house. As a result, Annabelle remained dormant for about 12 years until 1957, when the Mullins family opened their home to provide shelter to Sister Charlotte and several orphan girls from St. Eustace Orphanage, including Janice, a girl who suffered from polio. On one of the first nights in the house, Janice heard a strange noise and eventually found a note that said, "Find me." Shortly after, she entered B's room, where she discovered a key inside the dollhouse and used it to unlock B's closet, accidentally releasing Annabelle. The demonic entity attacked Janice, and although they tried to lock it back in the closet, it didn't work since Annabelle could easily escape. Janice realized that Samuel Mullins was standing in front of the house and, terrified, decided to run away. However, now free, Annabelle began to terrorize the girls on the Mullins property. During this time, the entity frightened them in various ways. For example, when the girls Carol and Nancy were talking about how Esther might look with scars, Annabelle manifested in front of them, taking Esther's form, and briefly attacked them until they turned on the light. One night, Janice heard a song playing in B's room from a record player. When she turned it off, her best friend Linda entered and accidentally shot the doll with a toy gun. This caused Annabelle to stare intensely at Linda, frightening her and making her run out of the room. Intrigued, Janice thought B's ghost was present, so she read the deceased Mullins' daughter's diary. Annabelle appeared to her, taking B's form. Janice asked what it wanted, and it responded that it wanted her soul. Terrified, Janice tried to quickly escape the room, but due to her condition, Annabelle caught up with her and pushed her down the stairs, leaving her confined to a wheelchair. Some time later, Sister Charlotte takes Janice out into the sunlight one morning, and the girl's wheelchair is pushed by what appears to be a nun, likely the demon Valak. This entity pushes Janice's wheelchair into the barn on the property, where the girl becomes possessed by the demon. It appears in the form of B and vomits a black substance into Janice's mouth. After the possession, Linda notices that Janice is acting very strangely and tells Samuel that her friend is inside the room of his deceased daughter, B. Although Samuel tries to stop the demon Annabelle, he is violently murdered by the entity, which appears to him in its demonic form. After several attacks from the demon and multiple failed attempts to get rid of the doll, Sister Charlotte speaks with Esther Mullins, who reveals the doll's evil origins and how it became possessed. Annabelle brutally murders Esther, leaving her embedded in a wall after tearing her in half. Subsequently, Annabelle, through Janice, attacks the girls and Sister Charlotte. Although she tries to kill her, she only manages to leave her unconscious. Despite being possessed, Janice attacks her fellow orphans and her friend Linda, but they manage to escape without suffering major injuries. Later, Charlotte and Linda succeed in locking Janice and the Annabelle doll inside Bee's closet. That same night, shortly after Charlotte and the orphans escape the house and reach safety, the police arrive to investigate and only find the Annabelle doll, which remains as an empty vessel. However, there is no trace of Janice, as she managed to escape through the broken wall of the closet. The next day, after the police completely evacuate the house, they take the Annabelle doll. After being inspected by a priest, it is concluded that it is just a harmless doll. This is because the demon remained in Janice's body and had temporarily abandoned the doll. Still possessed by the demon, Janice makes her way to the St. Joaquin Orphanage in Santa Monica, where she is adopted by the Higgins family. However, Janice begins calling herself Annabelle, and her behavior becomes very strange and disturbing. Because she was possessed, Annabelle Higgins did not fit in with her adoptive family, and during her teenage years, ran away with an unknown group. Although her adoptive parents and neighbors believed she had run off with hippies, she had actually joined a satanic cult known as the Disciples of the Ram. Within this cult, Annabelle strengthened the demon that controlled her and became the girlfriend of one of the group's members. The Form family lived next door to the Higgins household. They were a young couple just starting their life together. John Form acquires the Annabelle doll, now just an empty vessel, and gives it to his wife, Mia. Shortly after, Annabelle Higgins and her boyfriend decide to break into the Form's house to kill them, possibly as part of a ritual. This is why Annabelle murders her adoptive parents. Upon hearing screams for help, Mia asks her husband John to check on the Higgins house while she calls the police. While John investigates their neighbor's home, Annabelle and her boyfriend break into the Form's house and attack Mia with a knife, stabbing her. It is suggested that Annabelle was attempting to transfer her soul into the old porcelain doll. The attackers lock themselves in the couple's future baby's room, where they begin a ritual by drawing a strange symbol in blood. Then, Annabelle Higgins slits her throat. When the police arrive and see Annabelle's boyfriend attacking Mia, they shoot and kill him. However, when they search for Annabelle, they discover she is dead, holding the porcelain doll. Sometime after this terrifying incident, the Form family begins to be tormented and attacked by the demon, which they believe to be the spirit of Annabelle Higgins. Throughout the story, Father Perez reveals that Annabelle's ghost does not exist. Instead, her ritualistic death allowed a powerful demon to attach itself to the doll. He also mentions that this malevolent entity seeks to possess and consume the souls of the doll's owners. Father Perez attempts to take Annabelle away, but unfortunately, he is killed by the doll, which manages to return to the Form family's house. There, it threatens to consume Mia's daughter's soul if Mia does not offer her own soul in exchange. Initially, Mia is willing to sacrifice herself for her daughter. However, her friend Evelyn and her husband John stop her. Evelyn sacrifices herself by throwing herself out of one of the house's windows, satisfying Annabelle. After this, although the demon remains passive for a moment, the Form family disposes of the doll and sells it in a store, where it is bought by some young people. Eventually, the Warrens are called to investigate a case involving the terrifying doll, which begins to torment two young women and a young man who had purchased it. The Warrens explain that Annabelle deceived them, making them believe that the spirit of a little girl inhabited the doll. However, once they brought it home, the doll began to terrorize them. The Warrens reveal that Annabelle is actually possessed by a very powerful demonic entity whose purpose was to possess one of its new owners. Fortunately, Annabelle fails to achieve this goal, and the Warrens take her to their museum, where they keep her trapped in a glass case. 3 years later, Annabelle is released from her case by Bathsheba Sherman, a spirit who was angry with the Warrens for investigating the Perron family case. The spirits of Annabelle and Bathsheba lightly attack Judy Warren, but Ed Warren manages to save his daughter before she can be seriously harmed. Interestingly, after this incident, the Annabelle doll appears completely normal, remaining intact in her glass case. Annabelle also appears at the end of The Conjuring 2 when Ed Warren puts away a music box, and the doll can be seen inside her case, looking eerily sinister. Additionally, she serves as the main antagonist in the third installment of this franchise, Annabelle Comes Home. In this film, after being released from her case by the young Daniela Rios, who is seeking a way to contact her recently deceased father, Annabelle begins to haunt and torment Daniela, Judy Warren, and her babysitter Mary Ellen. This also causes all the spirits and demonic entities in the Warren Museum to awaken and begin attacking the girls, turning their night into a true nightmare of horror. Well, now that we've covered in detail the story and origins of Annabelle, I'll talk about her physical appearance and the abilities and powers that this demonic entity possesses. Annabelle has the appearance of a sinister porcelain doll that always seems to be smiling. She has brown hair with a reddish tint, tied in 2 braids adorned with red bows. She wears a white dress and covers her entire body with a large red ornament. Her skin is very pale, almost white. On some occasions, her eyes are a very intense blue, large and threatening. Her lips are thick and dark red. Additionally, her mouth contains normal humanoid teeth. Overall, the doll has a very terrifying and macabre appearance. However, the true form of the demon is briefly shown in the movie Annabelle Creation, where it appears only as a dark shadow with 2 large white eyes that contrast with the darkness. This entity, being a shadow, absorbs the light from a room, something we observe when Janice is possessed. In the 2014 Annabelle movie, we can also see the demon manifesting as a black humanoid figure with an evil and terrifying appearance, accompanied by horns. Essentially, it has the classic representation of a demon. Annabelle, as a demonic entity, possesses very interesting abilities and powers. First of all, being a demon, this entity is immortal and indestructible, as it seems that it cannot be expelled from the doll it inhabits. Fans theorize that, like Valak, it could only be returned to hell. It also possesses powerful telekinetic abilities, being able to move objects with its mind with ease. Additionally, it can severely injure its victims using this telekinesis. It is capable of creating very realistic hallucinations and illusions, which it uses to effectively attack and torment its victims. It is a very manipulative and deceptive entity. On several occasions, it achieves its objectives by negotiating with people. A clear example is when Annabelle convinces Mia to commit suicide to save her daughter. Similarly, she deceives Esther Mullins by pretending to be her daughter-be. The same happens with the young people, whom Annabelle persuades by posing as a little girl. It is believed that she can also control the minds of some people to get them to release her, something we see with Janice. Finally, her most powerful ability is the ability to possess people at will, as well as certain objects like the doll. It is believed that when this entity possesses a person, it gains abilities it does not have in its spiritual form. Her main goal is to terrorize and possess her owners, although it is unclear why she prefers to keep her essence within the doll. And well, that's all we know about the Annabelle doll and the demonic entity that possesses her. A fun fact is that the real Annabelle doll is just a rag doll with a normal appearance, very different from the version shown in the films. The doll in the movies looks so macabre because the creators of the Conjuring franchise wanted to give her a more memorable and iconic look. Also, for copyright reasons, they couldn't use the original ragdoll design. At the end of Annabelle Creation, there is a nod to the original doll when the Higgins family gives Janice a ragdoll similar to the real one. Honestly, I've enjoyed the Annabelle movies overall because I think their story is very interesting and terrifying. Although it is hinted that the demonic entity controlling Annabelle is not as powerful as Valak or the Nun, I do consider it a formidable enemy for the Warrens and anyone who crosses its path. The design of the Annabelle doll has always fascinated me because it looks very terrifying and is very memorable. Honestly, I didn't like that Janice or Annabelle Higgins succumbed to the demonic entity, but I really enjoyed Annabelle Creation. If you haven't seen it yet, I definitely recommend it. However, I don't recommend the 2014 Annabelle movie much because it's not that great. But let me know your opinion in the comments. Did you already know about the Annabelle doll? Did you know her full origin story? And lastly, why do you think the demonic entity prefers to possess the doll? Answer right after these questions and share your general opinion about Annabelle in the Conjuring Universe. As always, thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. If you liked it, give it a like and share it to support the channel. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any of my new videos.